I'm not the one who's going to pay for this. Wait, Mia, just hang on for a second. I've always been there for you, Mia, haven't I? Can't you just do this one favor for me? When your parents passed away, I stayed by your side. I supported you the whole time. Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were wealthy business owners and you could count on what I'd inherit? That's not true. So you were after the money from the start, huh? And what if I was? So what? That's not the only reason I stayed with you. I also thought, did you enjoy having a wife who made more money than you? That's not what I meant. Did you think getting me pregnant quickly would stop me from leaving you? Look, I've done everything for you, haven't I? I've done whatever you wanted. Everything I wanted? Give me a break. You only did it for yourself. Thank goodness I never got pregnant. My name is Mia. It's been 8 years since I married my husband, Jake. We don't have any kids, and honestly, we've been talking about this since before we even got married. I work at a consulting company and I really love my job. Jake has been saying he wants kids, but I know he doesn't plan to take care of them. Even though he talks about wanting kids, Jake can't seem to let go of the idea that it's the mom's job to raise them. He says it like it's completely normal, like I'm supposed to handle it all. I get how you feel, Jake, but I'm not ready to raise a baby, I told him. Why not? He asked. Because I want to focus on my career. Besides, kids need love and attention from their mom. Kids need love from both their parents, don't they? Yes. But I can't do that right now. If having kids is so important to you, maybe you should find someone else to be with. Someone else? I can't even think about being with anyone but you. I want to marry you too, Jake, but I'm not going to change my mind about this. Jake looked really serious, and we kept having this conversation again and again. After all this, Mia, I still want to marry you, he said one day. I've decided that as long as we're together, I don't need kids. I see, I said. Besides, maybe one day you'll change your mind and want kids. I don't want you to hold on to hope about that, Jake. I really don't know if I ever will. We kept talking it over, and eventually we got married. Both our parents supported our decision, and for a while, our marriage felt great. My husband and I first met in college. He joined the club I was in when he was a freshman, and I was a junior at the time. We got to know each other through the club and eventually started dating. We both loved movies, so we joined a movie critique club. We'd often go see movies together because we shared the same taste in films. One day, my husband asked me to be his girlfriend. I loved him too and thought that if I were to marry anyone, it would be him. But life is short. I didn't want to settle too much when it came to marriage. I never told my husband this, but what he said, that maybe someday I'd want kids, was right. It's not that I didn't want children, it's just that I didn't think the timing was right. I wanted to focus on my career, but if I told him that, I'd be giving him false hope. I didn't want to trick him into thinking I might change my mind about having kids, so I knew I had to be honest with myself. Now we've been married for 8 years, and we still don't have kids. Lately, I've been thinking that maybe I should focus on my job for another couple of years, build up my career, and then think about having children. But I didn't tell my husband this. To give him hope like that would be unfair, especially since he had already made peace with our decision after we talked about it seriously all those years ago. For 8 years, our marriage had been really good. But then one phone call changed everything. It was a call from the police. My parents had been in an accident and were rushed to the hospital. I went straight there, but I didn't make it in time. My parents had passed away. Just a week before, I had dinner with them, and they were both so happy. Just 3 days ago, I talked to my mom on the phone, and she sounded great. But there they were, both gone. It was so hard to accept. It was my husband who stayed by my side and helped me through the pain. After the funeral, even though Jake wasn't always the most organized, he took care of things around the house because I couldn't sleep, overwhelmed by my grief. My mother-in-law, Sarah, also came over to cook for us. It helped a little knowing I wasn't completely alone. But sadly, that support wouldn't last forever. Because of what I might inherit from my parents, money changes people. I never thought this would happen to me in real life. During the week I was off work because of the funeral, my husband and Sarah supported me, making sure I was okay. I had a job to go back to though. I couldn't just stay in bed crying all day. I pulled myself together and went back to work. My coworkers and boss were kind when I returned. My boss even tried to lighten my workload, but it didn't really help. At that time, I just wanted to focus on work to take my mind off the sadness. I asked my boss to give me more cases to handle. It made me exhausted, but at least it helped me stay distracted. Then, one day, my husband brought up my parents. I think it's time to start sorting through your parents' things. It's easier to handle if you do it soon. I didn't want to bring it up, but I can help you with it. Yeah, you're right. It's something we need to do. I'll help you. You're busy too, Mia. It's okay. I want to do everything I can for them. I couldn't take care of them when they were alive. So I want to make sure everything is taken care of now. I understand. Let me know if it gets hard. I'll always be there to help. Thanks so much. I followed my husband's advice and spent my days off going through my parents' things, documents, their assets, and inheritance. That's when I found out they left me about $2 million. After that, I kept working through the house and sorting their belongings. It took a long time to clean up the house, and it brought back so many memories. I grew up there before moving out to get married. It was full of memories. In the summer, we ate ice cream in the garden, and in the winter, we built snowmen. Thinking about those moments made me tear up. I wish I could raise my kids here, I whispered to myself. In that moment, my thoughts about having kids changed a lot. I won't hold back anymore. I'm going to tell my husband how I feel. I left with that thought in my head. But in the end, my husband and I divorced without ever discussing my feelings about having children. When I came home, my husband greeted me. Welcome home. Thanks, I'm back. Hey, your parents' inheritance, it all got transferred to you today, right, Maya? Excuse me? Well, you were talking to someone from the bank the other day, right? You were listening to the conversation. Oh, yeah, I overheard it. There was no way Jake could have heard it. I was in my study, picking out clothes when the bank called. Unless Jake had come into my study, there was no way he could have heard. We both have our own study rooms, and we don't usually go into each other's spaces. If he heard my conversation, that means he went into my study without telling me. Something felt off. It's true that you'll inherit $2 million, right? What? I didn't tell you that, did I? No, I found a note on the floor a few days ago. He's lying. I did write that down, but it was in my planner. That means Jake went through my things. I haven't received it yet. Oh, okay. Well, I've got a lot to do right now, so I haven't had time to actually receive it. I see. My husband didn't ask more questions after that, but I could tell he was acting strangely. Was it just me, or was Jake acting strange? There was no way Jake could be after my parents' inheritance. He had been so caring when I was grieving. I kept telling myself it wasn't possible. But the next day, my doubts were confirmed. Mia and her husband, David, came over, and I learned the truth. I'm home. Welcome home, Mia. Oh, and David too. You're all here. Yeah, because today's a special day. What's the celebration? Oh, come on, Mom. Just wait a minute. Remember, Mia hasn't received the inheritance yet. Yeah, but it's already decided she'll get it, right? So that's good, isn't it? What are you all talking about? Oh my gosh, Jake didn't tell you. We're going to rebuild our house. Really? I didn't know about that. Oh, is that so? Well, we'll be waiting for you to pay for it. Huh? We're using your parents' inheritance to rebuild our house. David said something I didn't know before. Apparently, when my parents passed away, John had assumed their inheritance would be a lot. He promised David that he'd use it to rebuild their house and that we'd move in with them. And of course, he planned to use my parents' inheritance for it. You've got to be kidding me. I'm not going to pay for that. Wait, Mia, hold on. I've always been there for you, Mia, right? Can't you just do this one thing for me? When your parents passed away, I stayed by your side, supporting you. I didn't leave. Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were rich and you could count on what I'd inherit from them? No, that's not it. Oh, I remember now. You kept asking me about my parents before we even started dating. What was that about? No, that's... So you were after the money from the start, huh? Well, so what? Even if I was after the money, that's not all I wanted. I also thought you... Was it fun for you to have a wife who earns a lot for you? That's not what I meant. Did you think that if you got me pregnant quickly, I wouldn't leave you? Well, don't I deserve that? I've done everything for you, everything you've asked. You did everything I asked. Oh, please. You did that because it was what you wanted, didn't you? Thank goodness I didn't get pregnant. Hey, Mia, by not having kids, you're not taking care of us as your in-laws, right? So at least pay for a new house. No way. I don't owe you anything. I don't even want to stay married to your son. What did you just say? Oh, Mom, just stop. I did get close to Mia for the money. If we divorce, she'll be the one in trouble because I'll take half of what she owns anyway. Well, I'm fine with a divorce. Getting half of what you own is better for me. Is that so? Then can you just leave since we're divorcing? Huh? Why should I leave? Because I own this house and it's under my name. Are you going to pay the rent? It's $3,500 a month. Can you handle that? How dare you mock me? Of course I can pay that much. Oh, really? With your salary of $2,800 a month, how do you plan to afford rent? Were you investing or something? Well, then I guess I'll leave. Huh? Wait a minute. Actually, I didn't like this house from the beginning, so I'll be the one leaving. But that's not because I can't afford the rent, okay? Okay, if that's what you want. Well then, please leave. It's too bad for you, Mia, that half of what you own is going to be taken away in the end. Sarah said that while looking down on me. But, in any case, David, what was the point of you even being here? He stayed silent the whole time. I don't get why he didn't say anything. After that, I figured things might get complicated with the divorce, so I hired a lawyer. Just as I thought, both Jake and Sarah made it hard during the whole process. Of course they acted like that. They didn't get my property or my parents' inheritance. John thought he could get at least $1 million from the inheritance, but he didn't know that inheritance doesn't count as shared property in a divorce. He must really be an idiot. But John did try to take some of the shared property away from me. He even claimed $100,000. This is where his father, David, stepped in. It turns out David was fed up with his wife and son. He fully supported the divorce and was even planning to divorce Laura himself. Laura begged David not to leave her, and he agreed to stay, but only if she didn't get anything from me. Laura, not wanting the divorce, tried to change David's mind, but in the end, she agreed not to take anything from me. I'm glad David stepped in. I guess he wasn't quiet for nothing. On top of that, David was the only one who reached out to apologize to me. He promised to keep both John and Sarah in check so they wouldn't bother me. He also expressed his condolences for my parents. After that, my ex-husband and I got divorced, and I was finally free. My ex-husband tried to call me once, asking to get back together, but I ignored him. I didn't owe him anything. Jake and I had lived off my earnings, but now David was handling all of Jake's money, so he won't have much freedom anymore. Jake and Sarah got what they deserved. As for me, I decided to move out and live in my parents' house. 4 years later, I remarried and am now pregnant. I'm grateful to have a child, even though I'm over 40 years old. I look forward to eating ice cream in the garden with my son. So, Jake was after Mia's money from the start. He saw kids as a way to control the situation. Now, Jake won't be able to live a good life. Anyway, I'm cheering for Mia's new start. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.